Francesco Duina joins us on Skype from Maine, where he's a professor of sociology at Bates College. He's written a book about this called Broke and Patriotic: Why Poor Americans Love Their Country. Professor, you say yours is the first book to look at the patriotism of poor Americans. What made you think of looking at that?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I thought of that because the number of displays and that poor Americans put out in terms of patriotism is very high. All over the country, you can see that. And it's also something that virtually no one has looked at. And so it was a very, very important question, considering the importance of this patriotism for social cohesion, military service, the country's idea of itself in the world, and other reasons.
Go into some more of those examples of how they show patriotism. You mentioned the military. How else?
Well, I mean, displays of flags outside their homes, T-shirts with flags, also willingness to go on the streets and chant, pro-American things, and just a general sense that they love their country. If you put data together with regards to their love of country from survey data, you see they respond constantly very, very high to questions like, do you think the United States is a great country, or would you rather live in the United States or in any other country? And in all of those dimensions, they always, virtually 100%, 90% of impoverished Americans forcefully say, we love this country. So there are different ways in which you can measure it.
Let's dig down on that, because in other countries, other European countries, there are more benefits for poor people. So why would they want to be here and not there?
You're correct that there are more benefits, more life chances, more chances for intergenerational mobility, fewer penalties, more social support. And yet there are different reasons, right, for why poor Americans love these countries. A little bit maybe some misconceptions that they may have about other places. In my interviews, I heard, for example, a belief that there are only two democracies in the world, the United States and Israel, and nothing else. Everything else is either socialist or a dictatorship or something like that. But also, more fundamentally, they derive a very, very strong sense of dignity and pride in being American. And this dignity and pride speaks to them very, very clearly when, in fact, they lack in all sorts of other ways. So issues of freedom that they associate with this pride, issues of hope, issues of abundance and wealth. And I should say that they do not attribute their own personal stories to the country or to external forces. They are decidedly convinced that that their life trajectories is a function of themselves and the choices that they've made, which is kind of remarkable considering how the odds are stacked against them.
Yeah, that is interesting. Did you notice what party they vote for more? I mean, because the Democratic Party is more in favor of government help. Do they vote more Democratic or more Republican? Actually,
many of the people that I spoke with, I was in laundromats, bus stations, homeless shelters. They weren't quite sure actually how they voted, because often they did not vote, and often they didn't quite understand the difference between the Democratic and the Republican Party. But if you think about it, if 100% of almost nearly 100% of poor Americans are very patriotic, it doesn't really matter which way they vote. You will find Democrats and you will find Republicans, you will find conservatives, you will find liberals, you'll find religious people, you'll find non-religious people, white, blacks. You can slice it however you want and you will find a pretty consistent level of patriotism.
We've got about a minute here. Look, not knocking patriotism. I think people should be proud of where they come from. But if we can drill down here, why do you think this is? And are there any lessons here for other people in this country?
Well, I mean, it does have very important political implications, right? Because as we saw in the Trump campaign, for instance, make America great again. That was a slogan that worked really, really well across multiple class, income levels, but especially among the people who were either working class or below that. So there are important lessons also into this. So it does have serious political implications. It also says something about the strength that the United States is able to give as an idea, as a nation, to those members of society that are, in fact, in many ways left behind. And that's both remarkable in a way, and inspiring, and also a little bit sad in a way, and a little bit troubling if you think that perhaps this will prevent them from asking too many questions and demanding more changes for themselves from the government.
Yeah, it's good to be patriotic, but it's also good that things are fair in a country. Francesco Duina, very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.